It starts quietly, a passing comment that cuts a little too close, a smirk you can feel in your bones, a shift in tone that only you seem to notice. Most people shrug it off. They tell themselves not to overthink it. They force a laugh. They keep the peace. But here's the brutal truth. The first moment of disrespect is never random. It's a probe, a test. And how you respond to it writes the rules for how everyone around you will treat you from that moment forward. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew that power doesn't wait to be given. It's taken and then maintained through constant, careful enforcement. Respect, he would say, is not a gift. It's a boundary you defend with precision. And once that line is crossed, the clock starts ticking. Your next move determines whether you are feared, dismissed, or forgotten. Here's the first dark law of handling disrespect. Whoever loses control of their emotions loses the game. Anger, outrage, defensive explanations, they all give away your position. They tell the room that you've been rattled. And once people see you rattled, they know you can be rattled again. The key is to go still, not passive, still. You strip the moment of its energy by refusing to play along. Your silence becomes the interruption. The tension in the air becomes the new conversation. And the one who disrespected you is suddenly left alone with what they just did. This is your first strike, and it is made without a word. You make no jokes to ease the tension. You don't give them the satisfaction of explaining how they hurt you. You simply go quiet, let your body language harden, and allow them to sit in the discomfort they created. Because disrespect feeds on reaction, laughter, anger, defensiveness, and starves in stillness. Then comes your second move, the surgical question. This is where you turn their test back on them. You look them in the eye, calm and unwavering, and say something that forces them to either double down or retreat. Could you repeat that? Or, was that supposed to sound like that? Or even, you sure you want to say that again? You're not attacking them. You're forcing them to declare themselves. And this is where most opportunists fold, because the disrespect was never about courage. It was about seeing if you were safe to challenge. The moment they feel that safety vanish, doubt creeps in. And doubt is exactly what you want. It's not about revenge. It's about planting hesitation in their mind, hesitation that will echo every time they think about crossing you again. But it doesn't stop there. After you've gone silent and called the moment out with calm precision, you redraw the relationship immediately. You don't slide back into normal conversation. You don't laugh at their next joke. You let your new posture speak for you. Your tone sharpens. Your warmth cools. You become harder to access. The message is simple. The version of me you had before is gone. The new version has boundaries. Machiavelli taught that public punishment, when carefully timed, isn't just retribution, it's education. It warns not only the offender but everyone else watching. So, if the disrespect was public, let the shift in your energy be public too. You don't need to humiliate anyone. Just let your withdrawal, your sudden absence of approval, speak louder than anything you could say. Because nothing unsettles a person more than realizing that the social connection they once had has been quietly revoked. And here's where consistency becomes your real weapon. One confrontation can be written off as a bad day, a mood, a coincidence. But when your energy remains consistent, when you stay colder, firmer, more deliberate with every word and action, the room begins to adjust. People start watching their tone around you. They weigh their words, because they now know that crossing you comes at a cost. But Machiavelli's philosophy went even deeper. He knew that equal retaliation is forgettable. If you want to create lasting respect, the consequence has to outweigh the offense. Not emotionally, but strategically. The next time they test you, you don't just respond, you shift the entire dynamic. If they make a snide comment in public, you stop giving them your attention in public. You look through them instead of at them. You answer them with single, clipped words. You never raise your voice. You simply remove them from the warmth of your presence and let them feel that absence like a closing door. This isn't cruelty, it's calibration. Because the most devastating punishment isn't being insulted. it's being rendered irrelevant. And when someone who once had your attention loses it, they notice. The more they try to reclaim it, the more formal, measured, and distant you become. You are no longer angry. You are no longer emotional. You are simply unavailable. And this is where most people fail. They try to smooth things over. They want to be liked again. They break their own frame to make others comfortable. But the person who is respected isn't the one who bends. It's the one who lets the ice remain frozen until the lesson has been fully learned. This doesn't mean you stay cold forever. The real power move isn't endless hostility. It's selective access. Once they've proven through their behavior that they understand the line, you may let them back in, but only on your terms. Because at this stage, it's no longer about that single moment of disrespect. It's about the reputation you are building. The reputation that says, you get one chance. Cross me again and you won't get a second. And here's where Machiavelli's brilliance shines. He warned against being too predictable. A person who is easy to read is easy to manipulate. So, after you've enforced the boundary, become less available, less explainable, less obvious. Don't let people know exactly how you'll respond next time. Keep them guessing, because unpredictability isn't just power, it's protection. When people can't quite figure you out, they stop trying to test you. The next level of this game is to see disrespect not as an insult, but as information. When someone crosses you, they're revealing something about themselves, not you. They're showing you their insecurity, their hunger for attention, their need to assert power where they feel powerless. And instead of reacting emotionally, you log that data. You note it for later. You decide whether this person still deserves access to your world, whether they should be corrected privately or exposed publicly, whether they should be ignored entirely. You're no longer playing defense. You're shaping the battlefield. Every act of disrespect becomes a chance to clarify your position. And soon, you no longer need to demand respect because your presence does it for you. When you walk into a room, the air changes. Conversations soften. People sit up straighter. Because they know you're not there to be liked. You're there to be respected. And if they can't do that, they won't get access to you at all. The final and most difficult step is what happens when the person who disrespected you realizes they made a mistake. They apologize. They laugh nervously. They try to go back to how things used to be. This is where most people crack, eager to return to comfort. But not you. You remain unchanged. You don't punish. You don't forgive. You don't explain. You let them exist in the reality they created, where you no longer revolve around them, where their words no longer have power, where they are simply a bystander in a life that has moved on without them. And this is where the real power lies. Because nothing is more unsettling than realizing that your attempt to shake someone didn't just fail. It made them stronger, colder, more unshakable. The person they tried to play with is gone. In their place stands someone they can no longer reach. This is what Machiavelli would call the ultimate victory, to make others so uncertain about how you might respond that they choose not to test you at all. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove anything. Your silence has become your weapon. Your absence has become your consequence. Your presence has become the standard by which everyone else measures their behavior. That's how you handle disrespect, like a strategist, not a victim. You meet it with stillness, reflect it back with precision, and then disappear just enough to make your value felt. You don't chase. You don't explain. You don't demand. You let the lesson echo. Because once people learn that violating you comes with a cost, they stop thinking about the first violation and start wondering about the next one. And that uncertainty, that calculation in their mind before they act, is where your power truly begins.